How are we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here, and welcome back to another video. Time to take another quick look at the work orders. We've had some updates, we've had some feedback. Well, Blizzard have had lots of feedback, not just from me, but from the community members generally. And it appears that they're listening, which is good. They've taken this feedback on board and they've made a few subtle changes, and I thought I'd spend a few minutes with you guys today going through what these changes are and more importantly how they look in game. This also coincides nicely with the beta version is currently in release candidate mode now. What this means is that we probably won't see any significant system changes going forward. Not until at least the game is live and in our hands. Release candidate mode usually is an indication that what we see is what we'll get, and they might, fix bugs and that sort of stuff behind the scenes, but nothing significant is really going to be changing from this point onwards. So I imagine what we have now for crafting orders is what we will expect to get when the game goes live. Let's talk about it in a little bit more detail. In fact, what might be useful is we go into full screen mode for this, as I can showcase some of it in game at the same time. The first thing, let's talk about specifically the public order crafting system. I was relatively critical of the crafting order system, truth be told. I thought there was far too many moving components in it, and I think it needed simplifying. Not because people don't have the intelligence to deal with it, but more from the fact that it's the first step on the ladder, the first step into a brand new system. You don't need 500 knobs and buttons and things to be tweaking with. You want it nice and simple, nice and straightforward. Get people their gear and get them their gear fast. And this is what the public order system is going to be able to do now. With the public order, for somebody to place an order, they will need to provide all of the basic reagents. An all or nothing system seemed like the appropriate way to go for the public crafting order system, and it was probably a bit of a flip of the coin which direction they went. But they went with the direction of making it so that if you want to order something, you need to provide all of the materials. They've also made a few changes to make this process a little bit easier and simpler to navigate. They still haven't chosen to integrate the auction house to the work order system. They're still very clearly keeping it two separate things. And I think they want to try and reiterate the fact that the crafting order system is not just an add-on to the auction house. It is a separate system in its entirety. And so making you travel between the two is a good way to emphasize that. But providing all of the reagents is the first thing that they're doing. So if we take a little bit of a look, if we simulate an order on the beta here, we can see, I'll tell you what, let's use the same gun that we did in our previous versions. We can see here when we select this, we now have to provide everything. It is reliant on us to put forward all of the materials to place a public order. This creates a level playing field for everybody providing public orders. So anybody that does put a public order in place, the only thing they really need to worry about, apart from the materials, is the commission. And this is where Blizzard have done another little step. This commission box now will autofill. We can take a little bit of a look here. One thing they have done is when a customer places an order. No, hang on. Where's it gone? I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Here we go. If there are any public orders posted for the recipe, when you're placing an order for the commission, should autofill to match the highest commissioned existing order plus 1 silver. Now, there's two sides to this. This is making a big assumption. This is making a big assumption that there will be any outstanding orders in the first place. In the first couple of days before people get access to some of the higher end patterns, that will be true. But the very second somebody has the pattern to make these, the likelihood of there actually being any outstanding orders is practically none, because at this point now, if somebody's providing all of the materials to you, fulfilling the work order from the crafter's side of things is very simple and straightforward. All the materials are there, you need to accept the order, click create, and then post the item back. It's literally 3 button presses for you to actually fill a crafting order now from the crafter's perspective. This does mean that the commissions, whilst it's nice that they autofill, the reality of the fact is that the public order systems is not going to make anybody any gold. This is the caveat of having a smooth and easy and quick and that quick and easy system. A quick and easy system is never going to be a profitable system, and vice versa. The crafting and the selling of legendaries was a remarkably expensive thing to do, and so hence that came with a very lucrative reward for people that put the time and the effort into doing it. The public order system is going to get people their gear nice and fast, and that's, I think, the number one priority for Blizzard here, is to make it so that people can come along, usually with their sparks of ingenuity and their primal chaos, their bind on pickup materials. They can come along with those and they can say, right, this is a piece of gear that I'd want. They can very quickly probably just use the auction house, grab up a bunch of these materials, and they can put forward an order, knowing full well that that order is almost guaranteed to get filled by somebody. The reality being is that there's not going to be any requirement for super high, super lucrative tips on these. Practically any tip at all should be considered that. It should be a tip, a bonus. Some people might be more generous than others. Some people may put 1 silver in there and call it a day. The reality of the fact is that they'll probably all get filled eventually. Talking about the materials, talking about going and gathering some of the spare materials, they have added the track recipe button now, meaning that crafters, or people who are placing an order, the buyers can, once they've found a piece of kit that they would like to order, if they are missing anything, they can hit the track order button or track recipe button, and it will showcase over here wherever you've put your quests on your screen. You can see it showcases all of the items. Then you can run off to the auction house, you can pick up the materials. Once you've got everything, you can come back in here and you can place the order. Another little quality of life thing they've put in place is so that you don't have to worry about remembering exactly what the item was, you can favorite the item as well. So when you do run off and you pick up all of your materials and you come back again, you know, your favorite list will showcase it there, and you can jump straight back into where you left off. Arguably, like I said, it's not the most elegant solution. I would really like just a material buying interface like the auction house offers popping up on the side when you click on a material. But like I said, we can't have everything. There's not too much time left before the game goes live. But this is a good state, I think, for public orders. Now, one big thing to showcase on this, you still cannot specify quality on a public order. This is going to be a frustration to some people initially until they start using the system. I don't think the necessity to put in a quality here really matters too much, because you're going to use this system to get that piece of gear and to get that piece of gear quickly. What you are then going to do is later on down the line, whether it be the next day, the next week, the next month, look at having that piece of gear recrafted and improved in item level, improved in secondary stats, improved in quality. There's a separate system entirely for improving your gear later on. The public order system is just a really nice, quick and easy way for you to get that piece of gear initially. I did try and showcase this a little bit in one of my last videos, but the reality is that even a quality 1 piece of endgame gear is going to be a significant upgrade for most people who are looking to use this. You ding level 70 with like 330, 340, maybe 350 gear. Even a quality 1 piece of endgame gear at 382 is probably a significant upgrade to people. It is better to have the piece of gear and then look at upgrading it later than it is to have an overly complex system initially. You could, if you really wanted to, use a public order system from day one. If you really wanted to get that perfect piece of gear, if you wanted to get that quality 5 piece of gear straight away, and you only wanted to supply some of the materials, if you'd already had communication with a crafter, you could still use the personal order system and send it to somebody directly if you want. But the likelihood is once you start talking to crafters, you'll very quickly come to realize that if you want quality 5, it may not be possible yet. In the first couple of weeks of the expansion going live, crafters are not physically going to have the ability to do this. And so because of that, in the first couple of weeks of the expansion, when the new patch goes live and the new tier is going live, it makes a lot more sense, I feel, to just get something and then improve it at a later date, have it recrafted. When it comes to recrafting, it's a fraction of the price of purchasing a new piece of gear in the first place. And that's when you get into the min-maxing of gear and progressing later on. This is just, the public order system is just about getting that gear and getting it quickly. So that's some of the first initial significant changes. We have just touched on recrafting, and recrafting is something that is also changing. They've also made it so that recrafting is now limited to personal and guild orders only. You cannot put in a public recraft order. This is working hand in hand with the fact that public orders don't specify quality. And like I said, it's a stepping stone from one system to the other. You get your gear initially through the public crafting system, then you start looking for the specialized crafters on your realm. You're going to start looking for those specialized crafters and making, communication with them in some way, shape or form to then get your piece of gear recrafted at a later date. Now, this is where, for me personally, there's still a huge aspect of this completely missing. And unfortunately, it looks like we're going to go into Dragonflight with this not available. There doesn't seem to be any significant way for crafters to advertise their speciality to people. Not in a simple fashion anyway. If you happen to be in a guild, it's a little bit more flexible. But of course, there could be 20, 30, 40, 50 guilds on your server. There still could be lots of customers out there that need the expertise of what you've got the ability to do. And we as crafters are not going to have any significant way to sort of tell people what it is we're capable of. The reality of the fact is that trade chat will probably be our method of shouting to the world that, hey, look, we can make this at this quality, we'll charge this to do this. It's not going to be very pretty, truth be told. But at this stage in development, there probably just isn't time to implement anything from that perspective. So, it's going to be quite interesting to see how the first couple of weeks play out. I do think their changes overall to the basic public system is good. Getting crafts into the players' hands nice and quickly and effectively is a good way of doing things. And then giving people the option to recraft that at a later date if they wish is, a smart way of doing stuff. But I'll leave it there for today, boys and girls. That's the basics of what's going on with this. I'll leave a link to this post in the description down below if you want to have a little bit of a read through this in a touch more detail. But I've sort of showcased the main significant changes, and this realistically should be how we see the system go live now. So let me know your comments in the description down below. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Consider subscribing if you're new around here, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.